Yeah, I can tell you, friends, London is a wonderful city, a wonderful place to see. It will always attract you and draw near to it. It will never board you up. Visit London, and I tell you, you'll enjoy. It will give you excitement and amazement in your mind. Yes, my friend, yes, that's what. Bye bye. See you all.
It's quite a nice evening here in London, and the sun is still out. Beneath on the journey, Charing Cross Bridge. Either side there are footbridges. Wave to the people visiting London walking across. Keeps their hands busy and stops them throwing things at us, which they often like to do for some reason. When I say just yet, there's another bridge coming up here, okay, so keep waving, keep smiling. You do get a few miserable looks here in London, but most people wave. And most people smile. A lot of the kids like to spit. So we'll try to get to our right, the Royal Festival Hall, one of the finest concert halls anywhere in the world, opened in 1951 for the Festival of Light. The building is completely soundproof due to the very noisy Charing Cross railway line which runs down the River Wall. We have the oldest monument here in London, Cleopatra's Needle, over 3,500 years old. It's actually older than London itself. It weighs 180 tons and was presented to the British government by a very thankful Egyptian government to commemorate our defeat of the French at the Battle of the River. There is a twin to this one, and it stands in Central Park, New York. We're now going to pass beneath Waterloo Bridge, which is nicknamed the Ladies' Bridge. Built by ladies during the Second World War, when a lot of them were away back. The bridge has been built using a very expensive self-cleansing Portland stone. It means every time it rains in London, the face of the bridge receives a thorough cleaning. Look to the underside as we pass below. You can see the difference there, how dirty it is underneath. That's obviously where the rain doesn't fall. Buckingham Palace and St Paul's Cathedral are just two buildings here in London which are faced with this self-cleansing Portland stone. To our right, we have a building with a display board, the National Theatre. It houses 3 theatres in that one building, described by Prince Charles as resembling a nuclear car bomb. He is not a fan of the design, and he's not alone. It's also been voted by some of London's leading architects as the ugliest building on the banks of the Thames. Looking at the building, I don't suppose you could really disagree. But the old saying, don't judge a book by its cover, definitely applies to this building because the theatres inside are without doubt some of the best in the country. Now next on the right, behind the trees, we have a low-lying glass-fronted building. And behind that, there's a tall office building. Now these two buildings, they go together to make Kent House, the headquarters for ITV television. It's from these buildings that we get many of our TV shows. Such classics as Jeremy Kyle, The School, X Factor, and all the other rubbish. It comes out. It's also from the buildings on the right, when they have news reports at various times during the day, that they actually use this shot of the River Thames we're now travelling through as their background. Now, anybody who lives here in London would have no doubt seen this on telly. Anybody who doesn't live in London, right now, we could all be on national TV. So don't be shy. That's it, give them a little wave over there on the right, you never know, do you? Especially if you're travelling with your loved one, you may get to see yourselves on set. If you're travelling with somebody else's loved one, I suggest you quickly look to the left. People have been caught. Next up on the right, we have the Oxo Tower, the red brick building. Now, right at the top of the building, underneath the glass canopy, is the Harvey Nichols restaurant. Once voted one of the top 10 restaurants here in London, today voted one of the most overrated restaurants here in London. Now, coming up on the left-hand side, ladies and gents, we have a building with a green sloping roof and the black pinnacle on top. This is the old City of London School, where many famous dignitaries were taught here in London, including Sir Winston Churchill. Take a look in between the arched windows of the building. There's 4 statues. From left to right, John Milton, William Shakespeare, Sir Francis Bacon, and Sir Isaac Newton, 4 of this country's famous schools. The last building on the left, the impressive semicircular building, is Unilever House, the headquarters for Unilever, that massive Dutch company. Now the bridges ahead of us are the Blackfriars Bridges. The first one here is the Blackfriars Road Bridge, opened in 1869 by Queen Victoria. As we get through the first bridge, left and right of the boat, we have red pillars, red supports. And this is all that remains of the very first railway bridge to stand over the Thames. Now the top half of the bridge has been removed. They could not remove these supports for fear of disturbing the foundations of the bridges on either side. And the last bridge we're now passing beneath is the Blackfriars Road. On clearing the bridge, look up to the left and we see the dome and the cross of St Paul's Cathedral, considered by most as Sir Christopher Wren's masterpiece. It took Wren 35 years to build St Paul's, completed in the year 1710. It stands 365 feet high from its base to the top of the Golden Cross. And many of our national heroes are buried inside St Paul's in its famous crypt. These include the Iron Duke, the Duke of Wellington, Lord Nelson, and of course the architect himself, Sir Christopher Wren. Now if you're here in London for a few days, you should definitely try and visit St Paul's. It's one of the finest buildings, if not the finest building, anywhere in the city. And ahead of us here we have the Millennium Bridge. You probably know it better as the Wimberley Wall. Opened by the Queen on a Saturday morning and closed the very same afternoon by the Queens, for being honest. It used to sway about a foot in it. People walking across the bridge were actually falling over. They were hanging on for dear life. The ones that didn't fall over were being sick on the ones that had. It was a complete disaster, basically. They had to close the bridge, re-stabilise it. It was reopened again. It's been perfectly safe ever since. Now look here to the right, folks. We have a replica of William Shakespeare's Globe Theatre. The white circular structure with a thatched roof is an exact replica of Shakespeare's Globe, built in exactly the same way the original would have been. The brainchild of a man called Sam Monoman. He was a film and theatre director who sadly died before its completion. The project was taken on by his daughter Zoe and was opened by herself and the Queen almost 20 years ago. They reenact Shakespeare's plays. We're now going to pass beneath Southwark Road. As we do so, looking ahead of us on the right, in the corner of the next bridge, we have a famous riverside tavern, the Anchor of Bankside. Now, there's been an Anchor pub on or near this site for 400 years. The original was frequented by Dr. Johnson, Samuel Pepys, Charles Dickens and William Shakespeare. The Anchor pub has also starred in a few films, most notably at the end of Mission Impossible. Tom Cruise and Ving Rhames are sat outside this pub having a pint of beer, celebrating their successful mission. And this is the Cannon Street Railway Bridge we're now passing down through. Once clear of the bridge, coming up on the right, we have a pirate ship. A replica of Sir Francis Drake's vessel, the Golden Hind, the ship in which he sailed around the world. He was the first Englishman to do so. It took him nearly 4 years. He had a crew of 80 cutthroat sailors. The replica on our right is a full working ship. It has retraced Drake's voyage twice. And ahead of us now, folks, we have London Bridge. Havasu in the Arizona desert. Has anybody on the boat seen the old London Bridge in America by any chance? Anyone heard the story? Is anybody listening? Oh, you are? Good. I thought someone was listening. Yeah, a lot of people think we're making this stuff up, folks, but it is 100% true. We do make it all up. No, the old London Bridge is now in America. The blue glass building to our left is the headquarters and the training ground for apprentice window cleaners here in the City of London. Now they come here to learn their trade before going out into the big wide. No, it isn't really. It could be though, couldn't it? It is in fact the headquarters for the Daily Express newspaper. Notice how well it blends in with the yellow brick building next door. That's the old Billingsgate Fish Market. A very famous fish market which stood on that site for over 500 years. It's not there today, the market. It's now moved further downriver to a larger site on the Docklands of London. And looking up to the right now, folks, we see the Shard, the tallest building in Western Europe. It stands at just over 1,000 feet high. It has 95 floors in total. On the 72nd floor, there's a viewing platform. Inside the building there are shops, there are offices, there's a hotel, there's a couple of restaurants, and there's even apartments. The top penthouse in the building costs £48 million. That has been taken by the architect, Renzo Piano, who instead of getting paid for his work, took the top penthouse, which as I said costs £48 million. There are 12 apartments inside the building, all costing roughly the same price. And to our right now, folks, sitting in the water, we have London's very own warship, HMS Belfast. Built in the Harland and Wolff shipyard in Belfast in 1938, which incidentally is also where the ill-fated Titanic was constructed. She last fired her guns in anger during the Korean campaign. Permanently moored here now since the 1970s, opened as a floating